Hello, tribe. I thought I would connect with you after this weekend that I had a medicine journey on grandmother ayahuasca. So, so there was a few more things that came through around the divine masculine that I just knew was going to come through because it's sort of a theme right now for a lot of us as we get our inner masculine and feminine balanced and as we get ready for true partnership in this 2022 year of partnerships and year of twos, which is about partnering. So it felt like my guides were coming through and kind of like there was a lot of laughter in this particular journey, and the male like guides were kind of making it funny, which is really effective because there's a lot of the divine feminine that has like frustration and disappointment around how things have gone with men, and I'm sure you men feel the same way in a lot of ways. And so what they said is they're like, Sheea, just look at it this way. And because I am in the field, I work with men mostly, and I really enjoy that. And I'm helping them in these ways and teaching them techniques, and I'm upgrading their abilities in the bedroom, and just in relationship in general and with communication skills and all that good stuff, and helping them understand women better because we're both kind of a mystery to each other since we are rigged quite differently. And so anyway, they came to me and they're like, Sheea, just we're just idiots, just please help us. So like whenever I get, I don't know, frustrated or disappointment, I can just laugh about that. They're like, hey, you can criticize us or judge us, but we just need help. We need to know what you want. So anyway, it just made me laugh, and it was really cute to have them share about that. And then I also got a few downloads about because I shared recently in that, and it's a 6-part series. Around I got a porn star for my birthday, and kind of how that whole experience went, and I got a different perspective, and how it seems to me like it's all comes down to perspective, because we all see different things in a situation or in a person, and if we're missing parts of it, especially if we go into trauma, we're missing parts of it, then it's interesting how when I get those parts and they come through and I'm like, oh, okay, now I can kind of see where he was coming from a little bit better. So what happened to me around that is I was bringing up, like one of the main takeaways is that I realized that men are kind of programmed to, when it comes to sex, I guess there's a certain maybe performance thing about being a man and making love and pounding or whatever. And, there's so many subtle details and things that we can read in each other's body language, which is a beautiful art. And a lot of, if you're not really in tune with that, you're going to miss a lot of cues. But I realized that to him, he could have easily seen that experience as, oh, I thought I was doing what you wanted. We talked about slamming, which is another word for pounding, because I do like to be ravished, and I like the guy to take over, and, I like to feel his strength because, I'm a independent sovereign woman, and I'm always running the show in my life and leading and everything, so it's nice to have someone else take the steering wheel and at least in the bedroom, and feel like someone else is leading for a change, and I can surrender and be in my feminine. And the ideal situation is where both people are evolved enough to be able to play both roles, where we're surrendering to each other and yielding to each other, and sometimes we're leading and sometimes we're being the receiver, and being the one that's opening to the other one. So I kind of realized, oh, he might have thought he was totally doing his job, like we talked about. Well, he used the word slam, and I tend to use the word pounding. But anyway, he did do that. But then I was pointing out how, like, he had 2 orgasms from it, and I didn't have any. And because, I'm in that boat of women that's more than half of women who don't reach orgasm during intercourse because it's not rubbing on the clitoris or rubbing the right spots in general. So, and how that's more of a psychological kind of high instead of a pleasurable or physical high as far as when intercourse is happening. So, but according to him, he might have thought he had really actually done what we talked about. But then I came up with that quote that I wrote this week, which is, you can be hung and you can be hot or not, but the man who wins is the one who brings the most pleasure. So it could be who brings the most orgasms or just pleasure in general, because I've had experiences where there was just so much pleasure and there was such a journey of pleasure that I didn't even really care, and I forgot about the orgasm part. It wasn't about that. But pleasure is important because it is a healing therapy in a sense, if you're not overdoing it, and if it's with the right intention and so forth. So, but the fact that, like I was sort of sitting there feeling like I was left hanging a bit, and then I had to ask, to be released. And then, he's tired at that point and not able to be fully present, which is what is required to pull that off, because otherwise it does take longer for me and for women to get there if you're kind of in and out and not really focused. So in my mind, it wasn't quite what I had in mind, but in his mind, I could see that, oh, he might have thought that was, what was being called for. But I think you guys would probably agree that if you went into a situation and you didn't get your orgasm, or you had to ask for it from your partner, it's not really doesn't really feel so great. And I doubt there's that many men who would be willing to engage sexually unless their orgasm was guaranteed. And that's yet often how you're leaving women. Those of you who are, women sometimes will fake it, or sometimes there are, some women who reach orgasm that way, but most of us are not. And so please don't assume that we will. And my suggestion is to take care of us first, so that it's ladies first. It builds trust. It's a huge part of building trust. And it is kind of like, I don't really feel like a man deserves to really penetrate until he's figured out her body and how to bring her to release. It feels like that's sort of like the entry fee or whatever. But anyway, I just wanted to share that from my medicine journey on grandmother Aya, who is so beautifully delivers whenever you ask her to. It was an interesting, and it was a different journey in that I asked her to work on my body and my subconscious. And I said, I don't necessarily need to know what it is. Just go in there and get rid of it. Let's just clean up house. And so I don't need to process everything that's coming up, just go ahead and do your thing. And so that's kind of was the focus of this particular journey, which I do them monthly with a group. And it's different people every time. But at any rate, I look forward to seeing you in our next time together.